In the vast emptiness of space, where the silent whispers of the cosmos resonate, Captain Elara Miles stood steadfast on the bridge of the Vindicator. Her eyes, reflecting a tapestry of stars, scanned the infinite darkness. Today was not just another day. It was the commencement of Earth's most audacious venture into disputed galactic territories, amidst the looming shadows of the mighty Crimson Federation and Nova Dominion. Her heart throbbed with a mix of excitement and the grave responsibility of command. Peace or war hinged on her next decisions. The Vindicator, a masterpiece of human engineering, cut through the void with the elegance of a celestial dancer. Its sleek, angular form was a stark contrast against the backdrop of deep space, its surfaces humming softly with the life of countless systems working in unison. The bridge buzzed with controlled activity, illuminated by the soft glow of holograms and displays, casting light on faces focused and determined. Elara, young yet seasoned, understood the gravity of her role. Mars-born, with the red planet's relentless spirit, she had ascended through the ranks with a blend of tactical brilliance and an ironclad moral code. Now commanding Earth's flagship, she was not just a captain but a symbol of Earth's aspirations in the cosmic arena. "Lieutenant Harrow, status report," Elara commanded, her voice resonating with authority yet tempered with the calm of a seasoned leader. "All systems operational, Captain. We are on course for the Epsilon sector. Stealth protocols are active, and we're invisible to standard sensors," reported Lieutenant Harrow, his eyes never leaving the blinking consoles. Elara nodded, her gaze returning to the starfield. The mission was clear: reconnaissance and intelligence gathering in a sector where tensions simmered just below the surface. Every star could be a battlefield, every planet a fortress. The Vindicator was not just probing the unknown, it was a harbinger of Earth's readiness to defend its place among the stars. As the ship sailed through the cosmic ocean, a silent alert flickered on the main display, a reminder that space was not as empty as it seemed. An anomaly had been detected, a blip on the very edge of their sensor range. Possible debris, or a derelict ship, the remnants of a forgotten conflict. Enhance the image. "Let's see what secrets this ghost holds," Elara instructed, curiosity laced with caution in her tone. The crew adjusted the sensors, and the image clarified to reveal a vessel, ancient and battered by time and conflict. Alara's mind raced. The ship was from the Nova Dominion, a relic from a past skirmish perhaps. Its presence here was a puzzle piece in the larger galactic game, a game that Earth was now playing. "Scan for any transmissions or data logs. Anything that can tell us what happened here," she ordered, her thoughts already weaving through scenarios. This derelict could provide invaluable insights into Nova Dominion's activities, or worse, Crimson Federation ambush tactics. The crew worked swiftly, their actions a ballet of efficiency and precision. Elara watched, her mind both on the task at hand and the broader strategy. Earth's foray into galactic politics was fraught with danger, but she was determined to navigate through it with the poise and daring that had brought her to command the Vindicator. As data streamed in, revealing secrets long buried in the cold embrace of space, Elara knew this was just the beginning. The journey ahead would test her mettle, and that of her crew, but they were ready. For Earth, for humanity, for the peace and security of the countless worlds looking to them for leadership. The bridge of the Vindicator was bathed in the soft blue light of the main display, which now showed the haunting visage of the derelict Nova Dominion ship. It floated, a silent testament to the brutality of space warfare, its hull scarred and breached. The data recovery was in process, with the ship's ancient logs slowly being drawn out by the Vindicator's advanced systems. Captain Elara Miles stood over the shoulder of Ensign Jaro, the ship's data analyst, watching as fragments of logs and encoded messages pieced themselves together on the screen. "Anything we can use?" she asked, her voice a mix of hope and urgency. "We have partial logs, Captain. It looks like the ship encountered an unidentified fleet. The logs are corrupted post-engagement, but it's clear they were outgunned and not prepared," Jaro replied, his fingers nimbly navigating the complex interfaces. Ilara's mind raced, piecing together tactical implications. An unidentified fleet suggested rogue elements, or a covert operation by one of the dominant empires. Either scenario was a potential catalyst for conflict in a region already simmering with tension. Prepare a drone. I want eyes inside that ship. There might be something the sensors missed, Ilara commanded. Her decision was met with immediate action, the crew's efficiency a reflection of the high stakes. As the drone prepared for deployment, Ilara turned to her communications officer. Harrow, open a secure line to Earth Command. Update them on our situation and the potential for unknown military activity in the sector. Emphasize the need for discretion. We can't afford to spark a diplomatic crisis. Yes, Captain. Establishing secure channel now, Harrow acknowledged, his hands moving deftly across his console. The drone's feed soon came alive on the main screen, its cameras peering into the shadowy innards of the derelict. The ship was a graveyard of aspirations and lives once lived, the corridors silent and dark, debris floating in the absence of gravity. The drone moved cautiously, its lights casting eerie shadows that danced along the bulkheads. Suddenly, a flicker of movement. Pause. Enhance that section, Ilara ordered sharply. The image zoomed in, revealing a sealed door with a security code still operational. Looks like the ship's armory. Jaro, can we crack the code? It'll take some time, but I believe so, Captain. Jaro responded, already at work. Ilara watched, her thoughts drifting to the broader picture. This mission was more than reconnaissance. It was becoming a salvage operation fraught with unknowns. Every piece of data could be crucial in understanding the shifting dynamics of power in the galaxy. Captain, Earth Command is on the line. Harrow interrupted her thoughts. Ilara straightened, her expression setting into one of calm authority as she moved to the communications array. This is Captain Miles. We have encountered a situation that may have broader implications for our strategic positioning. I am transmitting our findings and await further instructions. The response from Earth was measured, the voice of Admiral Hayes stern and concerned. Proceed with caution, Captain. Any intelligence you can gather could be critical. Keep me updated, Miles. Earth is watching. Understood, Admiral, Ilara replied before cutting the transmission. The weight of her command felt heavier than ever as she turned back to the main screen. The security on the armory door cracked, and the drone moved inside. What it found next could alter the course of their mission dramatically. Inside the derelict's armory, the drone's lights flickered across racks of weaponry and sealed crates, the remnants of a once formidable arsenal. Captain Ilara Miles watched intently as the drone navigated the confined space, its sensors picking up scattered energy readings that hinted at unused ordnance and possibly classified technology. Looks like they didn't get a chance to defend themselves, Lieutenant Harrow murmured, his voice reflecting a mix of fascination and sorrow. Or they were taken by surprise. Focus on the tech crates, Ilara instructed, pointing to a corner of the screen where several high-tech containers were stacked. If there's anything that can tell us who was responsible for this, it might be in there. Ensign Jarrow worked his controls, directing the drone to carefully inspect the crates. The drone's mechanical arms extended, delicately manipulating the seals. One by one the crates opened, revealing an array of sophisticated communication devices and encrypted datapads. We'll need these analyzed immediately, Ilara decided, her mind already racing through the implications of their find. Jarrow, make sure everything is securely transferred to the Vindicator. I want a full decryption team on this as soon as we're back on board. As the drone continued its work, Ilara turned to address her crew, who watched her with a blend of admiration and anticipation. This mission just escalated. We're not just scouts anymore. We're potentially uncovering a plot that could destabilize the entire sector. I need everyone at their best. The crew nodded, their determination evident in their eyes. They were a unit, bound by a common cause, and their captain's leadership only strengthened their resolve. As the drone completed its retrieval mission and began its journey back to the Vindicator, Ilara allowed herself a moment to ponder the deeper darkness of space, the unknowns that lurked in its shadows. Whoever had left the Nova ship to its fate had not anticipated Earth's intervention, or had they? The thought was unsettling. With the drone safely back and the salvage tech securely aboard, the decryption team set to work. Hours passed, the ship a hive of activity as everyone contributed to piecing together the puzzle. Finally, Jarrow approached Alara with a datapad in hand, a serious expression etched across his face. "Captain, you're going to want to see this," he said, handing her the pad. The decrypted data revealed communications between unknown factions, discussing the movement of armaments and coordinates deep within Crimson territory, coordinates that did not correspond to any known outposts or bases. "This isn't just a random attack. It's strategic, premeditated," Alara concluded, her voice steady despite the churn of anger and concern inside her. "It looks like someone is trying to frame the Crimson Federation, stir conflict in the region." "But why, Captain? What's there to gain?" Harrow asked, puzzled. "Control, Harrow. If the major powers are at each other's throats, the smaller factions can maneuver more freely, grab territory, resources." Alara's voice trailed off as she considered their next move. "We need to inform Earth Command, and we need to investigate these coordinates," she decided, her resolve hardening. "Plot a course, Harrow. Let's uncover the truth behind these shadows." The crew sprang into action, setting the coordinates and preparing the ship for what might be their most dangerous mission yet. As the Vindicator moved stealthily towards its new destination, Alara stood on the bridge, watching the stars blaze silently in the eternal night, aware that each passing moment drew them closer to either a significant discovery or a galactic confrontation. The Vindicator glided through the cosmos, its engines humming a low, almost imperceptible thrum as it approached the coordinates extracted from the Nova Dominion ship's data. Space around them seemed to darken, the starlight dimming as if the very cosmos sensed the gravity of their mission. Captain Alara Miles stood at the helm, her eyes fixed on the forward screens, where the coordinates promised to reveal the secrets of the unknown faction trying to destabilize the region. The crew was tense, each member aware of the potential dangers that lay ahead, a possible trap, an ambush, or the discovery of a covert base. "Lieutenant Harrow, keep the communications open but encrypted. I want a constant line back to Earth Command," Alara instructed, her voice calm yet carrying an edge of firmness. "Communications are secure and constant, Captain," Harrow confirmed, his hands deftly managing the controls, ensuring their lifeline to Earth was unbroken. As they neared the coordinates, the sensors began to pick up unusual readings, a field of debris orbiting a small, uncharted asteroid. The remains of spacecrafts, both old and recent, mingled with the natural rock, creating a graveyard of ships that had come too close. "Slow us down, Ensign. Bring us into a geosynchronous orbit with the asteroid. Let's see what's hiding here," Alara ordered, her gaze never leaving the screen. The ship complied, easing into orbit as the sensors extended their reach, probing the debris and the asteroid's surface. What they found was more alarming than they had anticipated: a hidden base cleverly camouflaged to blend with the asteroid, its metallic surfaces mirroring the rock's craggy texture. "There's our ghost," Alara muttered under her breath, a mixture of vindication and dread settling in her chest. "Ensign Jarrow, I need visuals on that base. Any signs of activity?" Jarrow adjusted the sensors, enhancing the visual feed. The base appeared dormant, no external signs of life or operation. "It looks abandoned, Captain, but energy readings suggest it's only recently been vacated." Alara pondered their next move. An abandoned base in such a strategic location was a significant find, but the absence of personnel suggested they had either fled or been forewarned. "We're going in. Prepare a boarding party. I want eyes and ears inside that base. Harrow, you're with me. Jarrow, you have the bridge," Alara decided, her decision firm, leaving no room for doubt. The boarding party equipped themselves quickly, donning spacesuits and arming themselves with standard-issue sidearms. The airlock hissed as it sealed, and then they were moving, crossing the void towards the silent base, tethered to the Vindicator by a thin line of faith and steel. As they approached, the base loomed larger, its dark silhouette a stark contrast against the backdrop of space. The entry point was a standard airlock, which to their surprise was unlocked, an inviting yet ominous welcome. Alara led the way, her weapon ready. As they entered the base, the interior was dim, powered down to its minimal functions. They moved cautiously, their lights piercing the shadows, revealing a corridor that branched into multiple sections. Split up. Harrow, take the left corridor. I'll go right. Comms open at all times. We meet back here in 30 minutes. Alara instructed, her voice echoing slightly through the helmet's comms. The corridors were silent, save for the soft hum of the base's life support systems, now running on emergency power. Alara moved through what appeared to be a command center, her light casting long shadows across abandoned consoles and empty chairs. As she examined the consoles, her light glinted off something unusual, a datapad left carelessly on a chair. Picking it up, Alara quickly accessed it, discovering logs and communications that detailed the base's operations. They were indeed manipulating events, playing the Crimson Federation against the Nova Dominion. As she downloaded the data, Alara felt the weight of their discovery. This was the proof they needed, but it was also a sign of how far some were willing to go to shift the balance of power in the galaxy. Regrouping with Harrow, who had found additional data and samples, they returned to the Vindicator, their mission a success but their resolve tested. The galaxy was on the brink, and they were in the middle of it all. Back aboard the Vindicator, the atmosphere was electric with the urgency of their findings. Captain Alara Miles handed over the datapad to Ensign Jaro, who immediately set to work extracting and analyzing the newly discovered information. The crew clustered around, their faces a mix of apprehension and curiosity, as the hidden machinations of the mysterious faction began to unfold. "Captain, these logs are extensive," Jaro announced as he navigated through the encrypted files, his screen alive with streams of data. "It appears this base was a coordination hub for what looks like proxy wars designed to weaken both the Crimson Federation and the Nova Dominion." Alara nodded, absorbing the gravity of their discovery. "This could shift the balance of power in the galaxy. We need to get this information to Earth Command immediately. They need to know there's a third player on the field." As Harrow transmitted the detailed report back to Earth, Alara turned her attention to the crew. "This is a pivotal moment for us and for the galaxy. Our actions going forward could very well decide the fate of many. I need all of you at your sharpest. We're not out of the woods yet." The Vindicator resumed its patrol, but now with a heightened sense of vigilance. The bridge was a hive of activity, with officers monitoring every blip and bleep from the sensors, wary of any threat that might emerge from the cosmic shadows. Meanwhile, Jaro continued to delve deeper into the data, uncovering schedules of planned disruptions and even potential targets for future attacks. "Captain, according to this, there's a planned strike against a key Crimson outpost within the week. It's meant to look like an attack by Nova forces." Alara's expression hardened. "That could spark an all-out war. We need to prevent this at all costs. Set a course for the outpost, maximum warp. We might just have a chance to stop this before it starts." The Vindicator surged forward, cutting through space as it raced against time to prevent a catastrophic escalation of hostilities. The crew worked tirelessly, coordinating their efforts to ensure they arrived in time. As they approached the coordinates of the Crimson outpost, the tension on the bridge was palpable. Alara stood resolute, her eyes scanning the forward monitors, which now displayed the looming structure of the outpost ahead. "Slow to impulse power. Let's approach with caution," she commanded. "Harrow, open a channel to the outpost." It's time they knew the truth. Communicating with the Crimson outpost was a delicate operation. Initially met with suspicion, the broadcast of their findings and the intercepted plans slowly turned the tide of the conversation. The outpost commander, a grizzled veteran of many skirmishes, listened intently as Alara outlined the threat. "Your warning is timely, Earth Captain," the commander finally responded, his voice gruff but relieved. "We'll prepare our defenses. Your evidence has likely saved many lives today. With the immediate threat to the outpost averted, Alara allowed herself a brief moment of relief, but the broader implications of their mission weighed heavily on her. The faction behind the proxy wars was still out there, and the Vindicator's role in this interstellar chess game was far from over. Keep us in a holding pattern around the outpost, Alara instructed her crew. We'll guard this position until we receive further orders from Earth Command. As the Vindicator settled into its protective orbit, Alara gazed out into space, the stars a backdrop to the swirling thoughts of diplomacy, warfare, and the thin, fragile line of peace. The storm might have been delayed, but the clouds still hung heavy on the horizon. As the Vindicator maintained its vigil over the Crimson Outpost, the crew took shifts monitoring communications and sensor arrays, ensuring no surprise attacks. Captain Alara Miles spent her time in the strategy room, poring over the data they had collected, trying to piece together the identity and motives of the mysterious faction orchestrating chaos. With a fresh cup of coffee in hand, she sat at the conference table, maps and holographic displays surrounding her. "Jero, any luck tracing back the origins of this faction?" she asked, looking up as the ensign entered the room. "We've made some progress," Jero replied, setting his tablet on the table and pulling up a series of complex network diagrams. "It seems this group has been hiding in plain sight, using shell companies and false flags to obscure their movements and funding." Alara studied the diagrams, her mind racing. "They're thorough. We need to find a crack in their armor, something they missed that we can exploit." As they delved deeper, a pattern began to emerge, a series of financial transactions linked to a known arms dealer, with ties to both the Crimson Federation and the Nova Dominion. "This could be our lead," Alara mused, tapping on the display. "If we can track this dealer, we might be able to uncover the network and perhaps even the leadership of this faction." Deciding on their next course of action, Alara contacted the bridge. "Lieutenant Harrow, set a course for Rigel Theven. That's the last known location of this arms dealer, according to the data. It's time we took this investigation to the next level." The journey to Rigel Theven was tense, the crew aware that each step closer could potentially lead to confrontation. Upon arrival, the planet greeted them with its bustling spaceports and a mosaic of alien cultures that made it a hub for trade and illicit activities. Disguised in civilian clothes to blend in, Alara and a select team disembarked at the main port, their senses alert. The port was a labyrinth of markets, taverns and shadowy alleys where deals were struck with a handshake or a glare. Navigating through the crowds, they made their way to a discreet location where the arms dealer was rumored to frequent. Inside, the air was thick with smoke and the murmur of dozens of languages. Alara spotted their target, a wiry figure shrouded in a hood, engaged in a heated discussion with a group of rough-looking individuals. With careful precision, they approached, their presence unnoticed until they were close enough to intervene. "Gorvin Rel," Alara called out, the name of the arms dealer cutting through the noise of the bar. The figure turned, surprise evident even beneath the hood. "We need to talk," Alara stated firmly, her team flanking her, ensuring no escape. Rel hesitated, then nodded, leading them to a private room. "I don't know how Earth got involved in this, but I can assure you you're playing with fire," he hissed as the door closed behind them. "We're aware of the risks," Alara responded coolly, "but we're also your best chance out of this mess. Help us understand who is pulling the strings, and we can offer protection." Rel weighed his options, the tension palpable. Finally he sighed, defeated. "All right, I'll talk. But we do this my way. No Earth Command. This information dies with you if anything happens to me." Alara nodded, understanding the stakes. As Rel began to divulge the names and operations of the faction leaders, she knew they were stepping into deeper shadows, where the line between friend and foe blurred dangerously. In the dimly lit room at the back of the bustling Rigel Theven tavern, Captain Alara Miles listened intently as Gorvin Rail, the arms dealer, outlined the network of the covert faction. He sketched out a complex web of operatives, safe houses, and front organizations that spanned across multiple systems, each layer designed to shield the true leaders of the conspiracy. The person at the top goes by the codename, the Architect, Rel revealed. His voice a low whisper. Nobody knows their real identity, but they're the one orchestrating everything from the shadows. They have contacts and influence in high places, both in the Crimson Federation and the Nova Dominion. Alara processed the information, her mind racing with the implications. Do you have any direct contact with the Architect? Any meetings or communications that can be traced? She pressed, knowing the importance of solid evidence to confront such a well-protected adversary. I've never met them directly. Communications are always through layers, encrypted and anonymous, Rel explained, showing a series of messages on his device as proof. But I was scheduled to meet a middleman tomorrow, someone close to the Architect. It's a risky meet, even for me. Take us to the meeting. We'll provide backup, Alara decided swiftly. Understanding the unique opportunity this presented to get closer to the shadowy figure at the heart of the turmoil, Rel hesitated. The danger of the situation clearly weighing on him. It's your call. But remember, this isn't just about dodging blaster fire. You're stepping into a game where the rules change at a whim. The next day, with the meeting set in a secluded warehouse on the outskirts of Rigel Fevin's capital, Alara and her team, cloaked in nondescript gear, followed Rel at a safe distance. The city's neon lights faded behind them as they entered the industrial sector, where giant containers and machinery cast long shadows in the twilight. As they approached the designated warehouse, Alara signaled her team to take up strategic positions. Inside, the echo of their footsteps mingled with the distant hum of the city, creating a symphony of suspense. A figure emerged from the shadows within the warehouse, their face obscured by a hood. You came. I didn't expect you to show. The figure spoke, their voice distorted. I keep my appointments, Rel responded, tension in his stance. Alara watched closely, her hand ready at her sidearm. We're not here to play games, she called out, stepping into the light. We know about the Architect. We know about the plots to destabilize the galaxy. The figure paused, then laughed, a cold, hollow sound. You think you understand the depths of this game. You're merely scratching the surface. Before more could be said, the sound of blasters charging echoed through the warehouse. Alara reacted instinctively, diving for cover as shots rang out. The meeting was an ambush, but they were prepared. A fierce firefight ensued, blaster bolts illuminating the darkened spaces with their deadly glow. When the dust settled, the hooded figure lay wounded, their followers either incapacitated or fled. Alara approached cautiously, pulling back the hood to reveal a young woman with fierce eyes. Who are you? Alara demanded. Just a pawn, the woman gasped, pain etched across her features. The Architect plays at a level you can't imagine. Rel, shaken but unharmed, joined Alara's side. She's right, he muttered. This was too easy. It's a message. Alara knelt beside the woman, her mind working furiously. A message for whom? For us or for someone else? For everyone, the woman breathed, her voice fading. The game changes. With the warehouse secured and the immediate threat neutralized, Alara contacted the Vindicator, her voice steady, but her mind troubled. They had uncovered a piece of the puzzle, but the picture was far bigger and more dangerous than they had anticipated. In the aftermath of the warehouse shootout, Captain Alara Miles stood amidst the chaos, her mind piecing together the cryptic final words of the wounded woman. She realized they had underestimated the depth and complexity of the Architect's schemes. The shootout, rather than an endgame, was a diversion, a move to misdirect and measure their resolve. Back on the Vindicator, Alara convened with her senior officers in the strategy room, the star map displaying a network of connections and locations that now seemed more like a web designed to entrap than a path to follow. We've been played, Alara declared, her voice firm. This wasn't about stopping us. It was about drawing us out, seeing how much we know. Lieutenant Harrow nodded, his expression grave. The question now is, what's our next move? We've shown our hand. They know we're actively disrupting their plans. Alara pondered, her gaze fixed on the star map. We change our strategy. We know they're watching us, so let's give them something to watch. We'll continue our missions, make it seem like we're proceeding as expected. But simultaneously, we'll use covert ops to track down the architect's real identity and location. Jaro, I need you to work with the intelligence team. Any unusual communication spikes, transfers, anything out of the ordinary, flag it. As the crew set to work, Alara communicated their altered approach to Earth Command, securing the necessary resources and backing for their covert operations. Days turned into weeks as the Vindicator continued its patrols, each mission carefully crafted to maintain their guise. Meanwhile, Jaro and his team worked tirelessly, sifting through data and chasing shadows. It was during a routine analysis of communication patterns that they stumbled upon a breakthrough, a series of encrypted messages that originated from a sector known only for its mining operations, not its strategic significance. Captain, we've got something, Jaro announced, handing Alara a datapad. These aren't just random spikes, they're coordinated, and they lead to a remote system. If we're right, this could be where the architect is hiding. With no time to lose, Alara mobilized her team. The Vindicator set course for the remote system, its engines humming with renewed purpose. As they approached, the sensors picked up a hidden structure on one of the unassuming planets, a facility masked by the planet's rugged terrain. This has to be it, Alara said, her voice tinged with anticipation. All teams, prepare for a full-scale assault. We take them by surprise. The assault was swift and decisive. Alara led her team through the facility, bypassing security measures and confronting the guards. They reached the central command room, bursting through the doors to find a figure standing by a large viewing window, gazing out into space. The architect turned, revealing not the menacing figure they had imagined, but a middle-aged man, his face marked by years of strategizing over chessboards of galactic intrigue. I wondered when Earth would catch up, he said calmly, almost admiringly. You've done well, Captain Miles. Alara stepped forward, her blaster trained on him. It's over. Your games end here. The architect smiled faintly. So it seems, but consider this. Sometimes the piece you sacrifice decides the game. With the architect in custody, the network began to unravel. His capture signaled the end of the Shadow War, revealing plots that extended beyond mere power grabs to deep-rooted corruption within various governments. As the Vindicator journeyed back to Earth, Alara stood at the helm, the weight of their success mixed with the knowledge of the complex battles ahead. They had won a significant victory, but the war for peace was far from over.